Okay, Chairman, 7 p.m. we are live streaming. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. 7 o'clock, Thursday, the 29th of April, 2021. Welcome all to the East Herts Council meeting. A reminder that the local authorities and police and crime panels coronavirus flexibility of local authority and police and crime panel meetings, England and Wales Regulations 2020, came into force on Saturday, the 4th of April 2020, to enable Council to hold remote committee meetings during the COVID-19 pandemic period. This is to ensure local authorities can conduct business during this current public health emergency. This annual Council meeting is being held remotely under these regulations via Zoom and is being recorded and live streamed on the East Herts District YouTube channel. Before we start our meeting, we have our religious reflection, and we're joined tonight by Father Simon Vivian from St Mary's Church in Sawbridgeworth. Simon, good evening to you.
Good evening. It's good to be with you all. Today, the worldwide church is remembering Catherine of Siena, a 14th century lay member of the Dominican religious order who, as an activist and author, never shied away from combining religion and politics in her desire to care for the poor and the sick of her late medieval world. As the patron saint of Europe, Catherine's a reminder to me that the debate about mixing religion and politics goes way back. Before being ordained, I worked in the BBC's Religion and Ethics department. Rare was the month when there wasn't a fresh appeal to the BBC's Board of Governance to scrap BBC Radio 4's Thought for the Day, that 3-minute religious slot embedded in the Today programme. The question was always, why should religion get a ring-fenced slot each day? Well, many would argue that other subjects, such as sport, also get ring-fenced coverage. But for fear of upsetting sports fans amongst you, I count myself as one, faith and religion goes much deeper than that. The vast majority of the people on this planet will, as you know, believe in some sort of God. For good or ill, religion has shaped world history, ethics, politics, and culture like no other force known to humankind. And for good or ill, people still live and die for their faith. Quite simply, one can't understand the world or indeed our own local area unless one understands something of the way that faith has shaped our communities and functions in the lives of its followers to this very day. And so I was pleased to hear that you open your meetings with these pauses for thought, and it's why I was delighted to accept your chairman's invitation to be with you for a couple of minutes this evening, not least on this evening when Councillor Kay concludes his stint as your chair. As you continue to serve this area and its various communities, discerning ways in which the lives of all may be enhanced, I hope these moments continue to help you pause for a moment and to be reminded that as well as loyalties to political philosophies and parties, there's so much else that can, yes, at times divide us as a nation and as a community, but also so much else which can unite us and be harvested for the common good. I wish you well.
Thank you very much indeed, Father Simon Vivian. Just before you go, can I just ask, I know your church is called Great St Mary's, and the one in Ware is just called St Mary's. Is there any significance to the Great?
Well, as you know, Jonathan, I'm very new on the scene. I was only licensed last September, so the person to really ask is your colleague Angela, who I'm sure will be able to say much more about that. But I think it was an old medieval distinction, probably about the size of buildings rather than necessarily the status of the towns.
Right, thank you very much indeed. I won't put Angela on the spot tonight, but I might speak to her about it on another occasion. Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And a warm welcome, of course, to everybody who is on Zoom, but also people who are on the East Herts District YouTube channel this evening. A reminder about voting, and we will call out for, against, and abstain, and to indicate your views when we call out for. If you're for, you go to the bottom of your screen, then reactions and raise hand, and the yellow hand will pop up. If you have the old system, I think you go to participants and then you find the blue hand and raise that one. And then once we've added up all the scores for the fours, we then go to against and abstain. All these indicators are only visible to attendees at this meeting. For the benefit of the public, we will then state whether the item is carried or not. If any members are participating by telephone, they will need to speak to say how they vote. And when we come to the roll call, perhaps if there are any members who are joining us by telephone, if they could actually make reference to that. Thank you. Again, if members want to speak, raise the hand, blue or yellow, if you wish to speak. As regards guests that are present, if there are any, please leave. Click the leave button as soon as you finished, or at least turn the camera off. and make sure that your microphone is muted. Now, just a few announcements first. We'll have a minute's silence in a moment to reflect on all those in East Herts who have lost their lives due to COVID-19 in the past municipal year. We'll also reflect on the life of His Royal Highness Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. There's been a lot about him over the past few weeks, and I think anybody who saw the funeral a couple of weekends ago can't have failed to have been moved, perhaps, by what they saw. And also a former East Herts District Councillor, Sajid Basra, passed away on the 12th of April. He was also a former mayor of Buntingford. I didn't know Mr. Basra, but Councillor Jeff Jones did. So, Jeff, if you wouldn't mind just saying a few words about Sajid Basra for us.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, and thank you for allowing me to say a few words in memory of my good friend and colleague, Sajid Basra, or as many of us will always remember him as Mr. B. So for those that, there's probably many here who didn't know him, if you just allow me just a few minutes to give you some background to my good friend Sajid. Sajid was born on the 7th of October 1950 in the Punjab in India, and he was the eldest of 5 children, 3 brothers and a sister. When he was 18, he decided that his future lied outside of India, and on the 29th of December 1968, with just £2 in his pocket and clutching a plane ticket, he left India for the UK. Sajid was a hard worker and spent time in Leamington Spa, Coventry and Nottingham, where he did many different jobs, even working as a bus conductor. Sajid met his wife-to-be, Satwan, and were married in a civil ceremony on the 7th of February 1969 in Hitchin. And then on the 26th of April 1970 at Letchworth Labour Club, they had a traditional Indian wedding. And this was the first Asian wedding to be held at the Labour Club. And as such, a photograph of the happy couple appeared in the local paper for all to see. But I wish I'd known at the time that Mr. B, he'd got married at a Labour club, because Mr. B, he was a very strong conservative, and I would have enjoyed teasing him about that. But Mr. B now felt the time was right to start a new business career himself rather than work for other people. And in 1981, him and Mrs. B, they built their first shop in Pixmore Avenue in Letchworth. And this was the start of Mr. B's successful business career. And on the 21st of January 1991, Mr. B signed the papers to purchase another shop, this time in a little place called Buntingford. And this was the start of Basra's supermarket and post office, where he finally decided to settle permanently. He very quickly became a hit with the locals with his sense of humour and kindness, always having time to chat and listen. His success of the business, he always told me, it was down to sheer hard work, long hours, and treating the staff and customers like family. Mr. B always took the time to be fully involved in the community, and it was not long before he was invited to put himself forward by town councillors Eunice Woods and John Nodes to be a town councillor. He was a very active town councillor and served for 18 years. Mr. B often said that he considered himself to be a good councillor, as he could see issues from all sides, from a resident, a parent, and a local businessman. He was a very popular figure, and it was an easy decision to elect him as Mayor of Buntingford, not once, but on 3 occasions, 2008 to 2011. And this was a position he and Mrs. B really enjoyed, and they were both wonderful ambassadors for the town at civic functions. It made us all very proud to see at Buntingford Civic Reception, Mr. and Mrs. B in the receiving line. both immaculately dressed. Mr. B in a white tuxedo and his mayoral chain, together with Mrs. B looking very elegant in a black and silver sari. A very proud moment for the council and the town. Mr. B was very proud to represent the town as mayor, and he was a popular figure at local and civic events across the district, and he was a true ambassador for the town. I remember when he thought it was best to he ought to buy himself a new car to travel to these civic events, and he treated himself to a Bentley. Mr. and Mrs. B certainly looked very stylish arriving at civic receptions in the Bentley. And his sense of humour did come to the fore when he suggested it may be a good idea to put out a press release on the 1st of April that the town council had invested in purchasing a Bentley for the mayor to drive around in. It would have been a great April Fool's joke, but he had to be talked out of it for fear of the backlash from members of the community that may not have appreciated his humour. But Mr. B, he was an active member of many organisations that made use of his likability and his business acumen. He was always keen to give back to the community that had helped him and his family. He was a governor of Freeman College, and I remember him telling me that he was amazed at the quality of education students received, and it didn't cost them a penny. He was a very strong, committed Conservative and joined the North East Hertfordshire Association in Letchworth, where he was for a period the treasurer. And he gave support as a patron, and he was very supportive fundraiser. Our MP, Sir Oliver Hill, he thought a great deal of Mr. B, and on hearing of his passing, described Mr. B as the most popular person in Buntingford. And I think that was very true. In 2011, he was elected as a district councillor for Buntingford, a position he held for 2 years, when I succeeded him in a by-election in 2013. Mr. B enjoyed his time at East Herts Council, but he did find that he could not devote the time that was required to fully represent the community as a district councillor, as well as being town mayor and managing a very busy shop and post office. All in all, Mr. B made a huge contribution to the Buntingford community, a town which is a better place having had him with us. He often said to me that he considered Buntingford his true home. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Mrs. B and all the family at this very sad time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Jones. So can we reflect on the life of Sajid Basra, as well as His Royal Highness, Duke of Edinburgh, and indeed all those people, and many of us within the council chamber will know of at least one person, probably maybe more, who has died of COVID or COVID-related illnesses during the past year. So if we can just have a minute's silence. May their memories be a blessing. Thank you, councillors. And now we'll turn to Katie for any apologies for absence tonight.
I haven't received any apologies of absence in advance.
Thank you. Let's have our roll call, and if you can, when your name is called out, just identify yourself that you're here, and if any of you happen to be on the phone rather than through normal Zoom connection, just mention it at that time. Katie.
Okay, Councillor Alder.
Present.
Councillor Andrews. Councillor Beckett.
Present.
Councillor Bell.
Present.
Councillor Bolton.
Present.
Councillor Boylan,
Present.
Councillor Brady,
Present.
Councillor Eric Buckmaster,
Present.
Councillor Ruth Buckmaster,
Present.
Councillor Ball, Councillor Bemmitz,
Present.
Councillor Crofton,
Present.
Councillor Crystal,
Present.
Councillor Curtis,
Present.
Councillor Cutting,
Present.
Councillor Deering,
Present.
Councillor Devonshire,
Present.
Councillor Drake,
Present.
Councillor Dumont,
Present.
Councillor Fernando,
Present.
Councillor Fretnell,
Present.
Councillor Goldspink,
Present.
Councillor Goodeve,
Present.
Councillor Hall,
Present.
Councillor Hasey,
Present.
Councillor Hollybom,
Present.
Councillor Huggins,
Present.
Councillor Jones,
Present.
Councillor Kay,
Present.
Councillor Kemp,
Present.
Councillor McAndrew,
Present.
Councillor McMullen,
Present.
Councillor Newton,
Present.
Councillor Page, Councillor Page, Councillor Pope,
Present.
Councillor Ranger,
Present.
Councillor Redfern,
Present.
Councillor Reid,
Present.
Councillor Rowley, Councillor Ruffles,
Present.
Councillor Rutland Barsby, Councillor Snowden,
Present.
Councillor Stevenson,
Present.
Councillor Stowe,
Present.
Councillor Simons,
Present.
Councillor Ward Booth,
Present.
Councillor Williamson,
Present.
Councillor Wilson,
Present.
and Councillor Wiley.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like Councillor David Andrews is here.
I am indeed present. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry,
Councillor-
Chairman, if I may, Councillor Rutland Barsby had registered her apologies prior to the meeting, just in case she wasn't able to come, and I can't see that she's here.
Okay. Thank you very much,
So
Councillor.
please, can you register that as a
Councillor Curtis.
Thank you, Chairman. I see as well that Councillor Rowley is also present, though he may be having some difficulties with his audio. I'm not sure.
Okay, right. Thank you for that. Many thanks. Probably most of you will know that Louis Corp stepped down as a councillor in Bishop Stortford for a new chapter in his life in Switzerland, and he will be missed, I think, by not just his Liberal Democrat colleagues, but by others in our council chamber as well. And I, in fact, dropped him a line to thank him for his service to East Harts Council. And he replied by saying, "It has been a privilege and an honour to serve on the council. And although I regret not being able to serve a full term, I'm proud of my achievements in the last 2 years. We're settling into our new flat here in the Geneva area, and I'm having a great time getting to grips with cutting edge sensors, radioactive sources, and high voltage power supplies. It's quite a change from Bishop Stortford." Thanks to him for that reply. Councillor Cutting, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Councillor Tim Page is in attendance.
Oh, okay. Right, perhaps we didn't get to his unmute button fast enough. Thank you very much for that. I'm just going to go over very briefly some of the highlights, some of the points that I was involved in my capacity of chairman of this council since 2019. And there was the civic evening that I held in Ware in 2019 with our special guest, the television historian David Olusoga. That was in aid of Isabel Hospice. One of the most enjoyable events that Kezia and I visited was the 25th anniversary of CHIPS, one of my other charities. CHIPS' Children's Integrated Play Schemes, and they have play schemes in Hertford, Ware and Bishop Stortford. It's a charity that runs regular play schemes for children with learning differences, but also for their siblings, for their brothers and sisters as well. We had a Living Together in East Herts event in September 2019 at what is now the South Mill Arts Complex, and I well remember that it was a very warm, sunny day that day, because most of the events could actually take place outside. There were more formal events like Remembrance Sunday, civic services in various parts of East Herts, Holocaust Memorial Day commemorations, which this year was on Zoom. I represented East Herts at St Albans Cathedral on a couple of occasions, including the High Sheriff of Hertfordshire service. And it was a privilege to visit events put on by our own town mayors, some of them sadly though cancelled because of the coronavirus. There are also events at Hertford Theatre, Ware's Drill Hall, and what was the Rhodes Centre, and hopefully we will all be able to enjoy the theatre again soon, and I hope we'll perhaps be able to hold some sort of social event for East Herts Council, perhaps outside at Wallfields, when we'll be able to perhaps reacquaint ourselves with one another once again. Right, I'll just go on to really thank the council officers for their support over the past couple of years, in particular the chairman's PA, Esther Piper, who has found her role changing in these past few months on a temporary basis. Also James Ellis, our head of legal and democratic services, Katie Mogan, our democratic services manager, and her predecessor Rebecca, and also the hosts of these virtual meetings. Tonight it's Will Troop, but also Peter Mannings and Stephen King. And my thanks too in the office for the work done by Kate Collins and Georgia Adamson. I'd also like to thank my partner Kezia for her support. I think she's watching on the East Herts YouTube channel, either that or she's watching the One Show or Emmerdale, but I think she's watching the YouTube channel. And also thanks to members of the clergy who spoke to us before the council meeting over the last couple of years. In particular, my thanks to Rabbi Irit Shilor, who was probably the nearest thing I had as a chairman's chaplain in many respects. Can I also pay tribute to our councillors from all political parties who have played their part in civil democratic debates and discussions in order to do their best for their residents. Here in what the Halifax Quality of Life Survey describes as the best place to live, East Hertfordshire. Although a sea view perhaps would be nice too, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. Thank you very much indeed, colleagues. And now we go on to the election of the chairman for the municipal year 2021 to 2022. Councillor Linda Hasey.
Thank you, Chairman. And first of all, congratulations on an incredible 2 years, but I have a few words to say when I come to my paper. I would like to propose Councillor Ken Crofton as the chairman for this coming civic year.
Thank you. And Councillor Tony Stone.
Sorry, thanks, Chairman. And congratulations on your 2 years, by the way. That's well done. 2 year runs, a long one. But yes, I take great pleasure in seconding proposal for Ken Crofton. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much. And therefore, can we go to reactions and then to raise hand? And if you could vote in favour of Councillor Crofton being the chairman of East Herts Council for 2021 to 2022.
Yes, Chairman, we've got a total of 41 for there.
Thank you very much. And we'll wipe the yellow hands away. So if there's any against. And any abstentions? Right, thank you very much indeed, councillors. That is carried. And I would like to congratulate Councillor Ken Crofton for being our chairman for the municipal year, and wish you all the very best, Ken, and indeed your vice chairman during the next year or two, and hope that you'll have a slightly more normal year than we've had in the past year. Many congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Nobody told me it might be 2 years. Thank you. I believe I need to read out a declaration now and to sign some papers.
Yeah, do you have the chain there at all?
I do have the chain.
Yes, I can pass it to you if you like. There we go.
Yes, virtual chain. Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I will read the declaration, and that goes like this. It's I, Ken Crofton, having been elected to the office of Chairman of East Hertfordshire District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. So,
well done. Have a good year ahead.
Thank you very much. And if I may respond, well, as I'm in the chair, I will respond, Jonathan. Fellow councillors, thank you very much for the honour of giving me the opportunity to represent this council as chairman. And firstly, I'd like to thank Jonathan Kay for his 2 years of service during a most challenging period where the usual meet the people opportunities were somewhat curtailed, or in most cases totally absent in the last few months, and the joy of being replaced by virtual meetings, which was not everybody's first choice of council meetings. Now, I do take my hat off to Jonathan, whose expertise behind the radio microphone at 3 Counties Radio was clearly, his expertise is clearly evident with us. His calm, masterful and distinctive voice and style will be an object lesson for years to come, one that will be impossible to follow. Jonathan, it was a pleasure to serve as your rear gunner, i.e. vice chairman. Even if I had little to do, you enjoyed, well, unfortunately for me, you enjoyed good health and a good IT system. And for the last 2 years, as we've exchanged chains already, you now can wear the immediate past chairman's chain, and hopefully you will receive, that's it, and hopefully you'll receive a lapel badge fairly shortly. So, Jonathan, thank you very much for your service. It is much appreciated. And if anybody wants to come off mute for this one thing and give Jonathan a rousing round of applause, I'd be very grateful to hear it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well done, Jonathan.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Jonathan.
And thank you for being a great vice chairman as well in the last couple of years.
Pleasure. So now it's my duty to move on to item 3 on our agenda pack, which is the election of vice chairman. And we are looking for a proposer, which I believe will be Norma Simons. Is that right? Are you there, Norma?
I am, yes, sorry.
Do you have a proposed nomination?
Yes, I propose Councillor Ian Devonshire as
Thank
Vice Chairman of East Herts Council.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Bob, are you there?
Yes, I am. Sorry, just muting.
No.
Unmuting, sorry. I'm very happy to second the proposal that Ian be the vice chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's go to the vote. Is there the voting tools? Can we put your hands for, raise your hands, and perhaps officers can tell me if we have a majority.
Yes, Chairman, that's 41-4.
Thank you very much. Well, that's clearly carried. So congratulations, Ian. Are you there? You, please.
Chairman, I'm sorry, my vote didn't record properly. I did wish to vote in favour. There's something wrong with my machine. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't worry. That's been noted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Ian Devonshire, Councillor Devonshire, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Councillor Crofton. Thank you. Do you want me to do the declaration of acceptance?
Yes, please.
Okay. I, Ian Devonshire, having been elected to the office of Vice Chairman of East Hertfordshire District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you very much. Well, it's I'll speak about you in a moment. Item 4 is the further chairman's announcement. So that is
sorry,
yes,
Ken, can I just say one or two words?
Oh, yes, please.
Firstly, I would like to thank Councillor Simons for proposing me and Councillor Deering for seconding me. I'd also like to extend my thanks to all of the councillors who expressed their support for me in this role. I look forward to the next 2 years, with the country hopefully moving towards a more relaxed environment where we will see a return to hopefully some semblance of normality. We, the chairman and vice chairman, but also all councillors, can start to attend community engagements and meet more of our residents and businesses. As you all know, some of our businesses and residents have had a very tough time over the past year, so we will try to give as much support as we can to them. I promise you all that I will do my best to support Councillor Crofton in promoting East Herts Council and his chosen charity. Thank you all.
Well, thank you very much. It's going to be. I'm very pleased. You councillors have elected Ian Devonshire to be the vice chairman in that role, and I've absolutely no doubt he'll be a great representative for East Herts Council. I'm looking forward to working with you, Ian. Thank you very much. Now, Chairman's announcements in item 4. I had the pleasure to be chairman of this council 5 years ago under very different circumstances when between the chairman and vice chairman, there was the commitment to attend at least 5 events in most weeks. The role is simple. It's to represent this council in a non-political way. And this is the key. We are there to support all members from all parties, and we are there to make lives better and reward people for what they're achieving to make East Herts a fantastic place to live. Now, I intend to revitalise the role and look to all councillors to think how this office can be used by giving the chance to support members and to acknowledge the work of charities, sports and social clubs and organisations that needs appreciation and a show that this council cares about the commitment the organisers have made to their organisations. So look to your diaries and help to fill our diaries as soon as we're able to do so. So thank you. And one final announcement here is that I'll remind all members that we're having a joint meeting of the committees at the conclusion of annual council. And so all members should remain in the meeting until all the business is concluded. Now we go to item 6, because item 5 has already been covered. And we're looking at the minutes now on page 7 of our pack. This is the minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of March 2021. So are there any amendments? Anybody raise their hands? Is there a, I can't see.
Yes, please,
Yes,
Chairman.
Marnie, you're there, of course.
Yes, Chairman, I would like to make a comment, please, on the minutes.
Please.
Thank you. I'd like to request a correction, please. In item 428, under the Chairman's announcements, there is a big omission. There is no record at all of the comments which I made about Councillor McMullen's apology. And anyone reading these minutes would presume that all councillors were completely happy with the Chairman's statement. Well, I'm afraid that was not the case. I was certainly not happy, and I said so. And the conversation was recorded on YouTube. So I'd like to request, please, that some further words should be added to the minutes after the end of the Chairman's statement. Please could you add in, when the Chairman had finished speaking, Councillor Goldspink asked if it would not have been more appropriate for Councillor McMullen to have made the apology himself in person in the public meeting. Since the unacceptable comment had been made in public, surely the apology should have been made in the same way. The Chairman disagreed with Councillor Goldspink. He made no request to Councillor McMullen and moved straight on to the next business. So I believe that's a correct record, and I would be grateful if those words could be added into the minutes, please.
Mr. Ellis, are you prepared to comment on that on our behalf?
Perhaps before I come in, I believe Councillor Hazy wants to comment on the same issue.
Yeah, I've managed to lose my participants. I can't find. I don't know how to get participants back. Okay, I'm sorry.
Chairman, if I may come in on that, I think Councillor Goldspink, this is totally inappropriate. This was an agreement made with Councillor McMullen, and the comment, the person who received that comment, and if that goes into the minutes, the length of what you want put in, and I will not. I hope I will not actually accept that those minutes need to be changed as you've requested. As you've said, it is on YouTube what you've said, and it does not need to go into the minutes because what you have said is totally and utterly inappropriate.
Right, I think as Councillor Goldspink has made the comment, I think we should vote on whether or not the original minutes stand as a true record of the meeting. Shall we move to a vote on that, please?
You'll need to propose the minutes first, I believe.
All right, who's going to propose the minutes?
Chairman, Councillor Andrews here. Allow me to propose the minutes as submitted, if you would be so kind.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy to second them, Ken.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Has that been noted? Does officers know who those comments were made by? Proposer and seconder.
Yeah, I've got a proposer and seconder, so now it needs to be a vote.
Thank you. So now we may need to move a vote on the original minutes as they stand. Can we have a vote now, please?
Okay, Chair, so just to clarify, is that if that's for the fours, there's 32 for minutes as they stand. Thank you.
Well, the minutes are clearly carried, so that's recorded as a true record of that meeting.
Sorry, Chair, you'll need to then do against and then abstain.
Well, we've got a clear majority. Do we need to go through that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, well, those against them.
Okay, that's 10 against, Chair.
Thank you. Well, it's clearly carried then, so we'll move on to item 7. We've got declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest from any members? As I've lost my participants, anybody now I can get my participant list back? I can't see any hands.
There are no hands. Oh, sorry, there are no hands up for declarations of interest.
Thank you, Katie. So we move on to petitions, and there are none. Public questions, and there are no questions that have been submitted under agenda item 9. And now we look for members' questions, which has been submitted. And I remind members that both questioner and responding executive member must ensure that the question and the reply is succinct, and the total time allowed for consideration of any questions should not exceed 15 minutes. Well, today that's not going to be an issue, I do hope, because we've only got one question. Given the fact that we now publish the full responses the day after this meeting, the short verbal responses are to be encouraged so that we can keep to the time limit. Any remaining questions not dealt with normally will be responded to in writing before the next ordinary meeting of the council. So, taking the question from the Liberal Democrat member, Joseph Dumont. Your question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
This is a question for Graham McAndrew, Executive Member for Environmental Sustainability. It was at this council, or in this council, in a meeting in July of last year, I brought to the attention of the Executive Member the issue of litter in our district. I asked what was being done to hold the contractor to account. The Executive Member assured me that he was meeting regularly with officers and that this council had powers to act if need be. And he told me in his response, contracts have performance management regimes in place which bear financial deductions should cleaning not be achieved at the standard we expect. Now, since I asked that question nearly a year ago, I'm sorry to say I think the situation has gone from bad to worse. The very stretch of the verge on the road, the slip road of the A414 into Stansted Abbots, which was the first section of road brought to my attention as being a significant location for litter and fly tipping, has still not been picked. This is despite the situation being raised many months ago. There have been lots of phone calls, site inspections that I've attended myself with officers, many emails all about this one short stretch of verge, yet it remains an awful mess. Across our district, the community has taken matters into its own hands, notably the Wombles of Whereabouts and also Tubbs in Bishop Stortford. These are members of the public out and about picking up litter because they want to live in a clean and tidy environment. Surely, in East Herts, not having rubbish all over the place is not too much to ask. So would the Executive Member please join me in thanking the Wombles and the members of Tubbs for their good work, update me on his progress, specifically if the powers of contract management have been applied, and please tell me exactly when he expects this bit of verge on the A414 to actually be cleaned. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're looking to the Executive Member to respond to that. Graham McAndrew, Councillor McAndrew.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, may I offer my congratulations to you as taking over Chairman, and also to Councillor Even Devonshire as your Vice Chairman. I'm sure you'll make a good team or a dynamic duo.
Thank you very much.
Right, now moving on. Thank you to Councillor Dumont for the forewarning of the question. So thank you to Councillor Dumont for drawing to the Council's attention the excellent efforts of those residents who undertake litter picking in our district. Residents have been helping the district clean for years, and indeed we still provide support to parishes where litter picking is undertaken by parishes rather than via our contracts. However, we have seen a number of groups over recent months, including the Wombles of Ware, residents in Buntingford, and Tubbs in Bishop Stortford, helping to encourage community litter picking by more and more residents. And I also wish to add my thanks for this fantastic work and commitment to our district. Officers from the Shared Waste Service are gearing up for the Great British Spring Clean and are keen to liaise with groups about the initiatives they are putting in place to support the work of the community. And of course, to make sure safety arrangements and arrangements for the collection of waste is in place. I would ask all members to support this work by keeping an eye on our social media channels and by resharing our publicity material. After all, if residents and visitors did not litter, no one would need to be picking it up. In response to the question from Councillor Dumont, I can confirm the details regarding the contract monitoring which has been undertaken over the last year in specific relation to street cleansing. Cleansing inspections were suspended early last year due to the initial COVID-19 pandemic. Cleansing was not. However, members can see from the large number of inspections undertaken by the shared service in relation to street cleansing that officers are regularly monitoring the standards across the district. Where the inspection identifies that the standards are below the expectations of the contract, a rectification is issued. And where a rectification is not actioned within the contractual timeframes required, a default is issued, with some elements resulting directly in a default where standards are considerably outside of the contract specification. On the written response, there will be a graph, a table for the last financial year, April 20 to March 21, showing how many inspections have been undertaken per calendar month, how many rectifications the contractor was asked to undertake, and the defaults of the contractor. So if I just give you one example, in November, there were 572 inspections carried out, 4 rectifications and 4 defaults. You can read the rest of the ones later. So the COVID-19 pandemic has presented additional challenges affecting both the resourcing of street cleansing services and of course a response to changing resident and visitor behaviours. I am sure members will agree that we have seen little disruption to waste and recycling collections over the last year and the rollout of the new charged garden waste service. It must be accepted on occasions resources for waste and recycling have to be temporarily backfilled at short notice by street cleansing staff. For example, where test and trace has impacted on staffing levels. Despite all this, inspections of the contractor performance demonstrate a good standard of work overall. Some areas of street cleansing have traditionally been undertaken alongside the work of Ringway and our grass cutting programme. This collaborative work was suspended last year, but has begun again this year. And a section of the A414 in question is scheduled to be picked for the 7th, between the 7th and 10th of May in a couple of weeks' time. Now, I'm sure Councillor Dumont will join with me in that the current practice of tossing rubbish from vehicles spoils the environment, costs millions and puts road workers' lives at risk when they have to clear up. To that end, there must be emphasis on behavioural change, and the message to residents is take your litter home. In line with the duty of care legislation, our individual waste is our responsibility. Dropping litter and dumping rubbish are offences, and we will issue fixed penalty notices and prosecute as necessary. Litter spoils the beauty of the countryside and can be dangerous to wildlife and livestock. If we all work together, we can enjoy a cleaner and greener district. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor McAndrew. A very fulsome reply and glad response. I'm glad that was a brief response. Right, Councillor Dumont, do you have a supplementary question?
No, I think we've nearly taken the whole 15 minutes. It's a good job we've only one question today. I think, Councillor McAndrew, you said, do I agree that the public have to take some responsibility, not in general, but those that are causing the litter? Yeah, absolutely. And it is about education, and we've all got a responsibility to try and stop litter in the first place.
Do you have a question for Councillor McAndrew, please?
I was answering his question.
Well,
if you want to stop me, that's fine. No dramas. Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Right, well, now we can move on to item 11, and that's the executive report by the leader. Are you ready to prepare to present this report?
Yes, thank you. I hope, Chairman, you will allow me a short indulgence just to say a few words about the proceedings earlier this evening. And it's always been a privilege to be among the first to congratulate the new chairman, Ken, and his new vice chairman, Ian. And I know they won't mind me saying that Ken is an old hand and Ian is not quite such an old hand. But I know these civic positions are safe in their hands and that both will be excellent representatives of the district. And we wish you luck and you have our support.
Thank you very much, Leader.
And this leads me on to thanking our leaving chairman, Jonathan, who has been with us for the 2 extraordinary years, and very luckily for us, you agreed to stay on for that 2nd year and helped move us all into the virtual world. You have conducted our full council meetings, sometimes with 60 participants, with professionalism, humour and patience. You've also been responsible for introducing the Holocaust Memorial event into our calendar, where we've heard many deeply harrowing stories, from a survivor of the concentration camps to the story of the family of the Lord Lieutenant, Robert Boss, and to those who have recently escaped persecution, the refugees from Syria in particular. I thank you for making this happen and bringing a richness and humility into our council. However, I think you will mostly be remembered for the sloth sitting apparently on your right shoulder, and I see the sloth has been joined by a companion. I'm not sure if it's another sloth or if it's a lamb. Anyway.
It's a dog.
I'm sorry?
It's a dog.
It's a dog. Oh, good. So I think bringing those touches of humour into our meetings has been very important. And I certainly remember the comment that you made at the very first virtual council meeting, where my husband came into the kitchen and you asked me having my meeting in the local Greek restaurant. I have found a lot of these meetings trying, but we have got used to them. The annual meeting is part of the cadence of civic life in all tiers of government. And it's the time when we look back, as in the annual Scrutiny review report, which will be presented later this evening. But most importantly, it's a time to reflect and acknowledge the achievement of the officers of this council. When we went into lockdown last March, officers picked up their chairs, their IT equipment, and just got on with it at home, trying circumstances. But the work of the council went on and very little changed, to the detriment of the services to our residents. And this brings me on to my last comment, Chairman. Last year, government legislation allowed councils to conduct legal business virtually, enabling us to function normally. However, this legislation expires on the 7th of May, meaning everything has to go back to face-to-face meetings, and we won't have the flexibility of deciding the best way to conduct our meetings. Our chamber is COVID safe for up to about 25, 27 people, but full council meetings will be a challenge, and that is one which we have to resolve. I know many of our residents have been following us on YouTube, and our residents have been engaged, and our YouTube following has increased. And I can assure residents that this activity, even though we may change where we meet and it won't be on a screen, will continue for live screening. So thank you, Jonathan, for your service. I have to say, looking around the screen, I think some of our gentlemen colleagues have some of the best haircuts I've seen recently. So you're all looking very smart. So thank you, Chairman, for indulging me to say those few words. If I could then in fact, to what I'm supposed to be talking about, which is, my page has disappeared off
It's
my
page 33,
screen.
33 to 82 members. If you could turn to that on the main agenda, main document.
Yes, thank you. It is the executive report, all of which have been resolved except for one item which needs to be approved by council, and this is the Harlow and Gilston Town Garden sustainability guidance and checklist, and this is the final endorsement, and I'm happy to propose this paper to council. Thank you.
Thank you. And who's going to second this report, please? Is it
Councillor
Ian?
Kemp, I believe.
Yes, thank you. I'm very pleased to second this report, and particularly to welcome the fact that sustainability is being built into the plans for the Harlow and Gilston Garden Town from the very outset.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Would anybody like to contribute to a debate?
Councillor Goldspink, I believe.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Councillor Goldspink.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But before I record my comments and my groups on the proposal, please could I add my thanks and congratulations to retiring chairperson, Councillor Jonathan Kay, and thank him very, very much for all his service for the last 2 years. I think he's done an excellent job, and I'd like to thank him very much. And now I'd like to congratulate our new chairperson, Councillor Ken Crofton, and the vice chairman, Councillor Ian Devonshire, and welcome them to their positions and hope that they will have a very successful year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now I'd like to make a comment to the proposal for the Harlow and Gilston Garden Town Sustainability Guidance and Checklist document. Yes, I'm pleased to report that the Liberal Democrat is very happy to support this, and we are all voting in favour. Thank you.
There are no more hands up, Chair.
Ken, you're muted.
Thank you. Beg your pardon. I've got my participants list back up again. Lovely. Right. So is there no further debate? Then we can move towards we're voting. We have to vote on this. So all those in favour, please indicate so.
Yes, that's 44 in favour, Chair.
Thank you. Do we need to have those against? It's a fairly obvious conclusion. Shall we conclude that that's been accepted? Anybody there?
I think we'd need the against and the abstain again, Chair, please.
All right. Okay. All those against, please.
Yeah, that's nobody.
And that means there's nobody abstaining.
Yep, no hands, Chair. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. So we can move on now to the pages 83 to 101 on the agenda, and that is the licensing committee report. And Peter Boylan, are you there, sir?
I am, Chairman. Thank you. I'm very pleased to be able to present this paper to Council tonight in my role as Executive Member for Neighbourhoods, the portfolio of which includes licensing policy matters. Members are aware that East Herts Council takes its safeguarding responsibilities extremely seriously. It is for this reason that the Department of Transport's revised standards and best practice guidance regarding the licensing of taxi drivers and operators issued in July last year are very much welcomed. The revised standards recognise that there is clear evidence that taxis and private hire vehicles can constitute a high-risk environment. Often passengers travel alone, sometimes late at night when public transport is not available, and it's not uncommon for taxis to be used by children and young people, unaccompanied by adults. There is therefore the opportunity for the use of taxis to facilitate the abuse and exploitation of children and vulnerable adults, and in some cases, such exploitation has been perpetrated by members of East Herts is not immune to that. In recent years, the Council has revoked taxi drivers' licences for sexual misconduct with passengers. In both cases, the evidence based enabled us to successfully defend our decisions.
Yes, you're breaking up,
This,
Peter.
I would contend, demonstrate how policies and procedures are. However, there is always room to strengthen our approach, and hence we've reviewed our policies in light of this revised guidance. I would like to thank the members of the Licensing Committee for their diligent attention to detail on this matter. Following extensive consultation with the taxi trade, representatives of the nighttime economy, community groups of the local licensing authorities, stakeholders and the public, and consideration by the Licensing Committee, I am recommending to Council the series of amendments to the Council's taxi-related policies presented in Appendix A of the report. As a licensing authority, we're required to have regard for the Department of Transport's guidance, and the proposed amendments demonstrate that we're doing this. Taken as a whole, these amendments will act to strengthen the Council's ability to determine whether someone is a fit and proper person to hold a taxi driver's licence or an operator's licence, and so in turn will further enhance the Council's ability to take swift action should any risk to the safety of the public arise, and help to keep our residents and visitors safe. I would therefore propose to refer members to the single recommendation on page 84 and ask for your approval. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Are you proposing this? Are you proposing this, Mr. Councillor Boylan?
I am.
And who's
The
seconding?
Chairman of Licensing, can I be permitted to second this?
Indeed, thank you. We've got that recorded. So,
in so doing, Chairman, could I acknowledge the comment that I made, or repeat the comment I made at the time of our considering this very, very important document, that there was a very, very low level of engagement with this consultation. It was a wide consultation, but the returns, I'm afraid, were very poor. That was an issue of concern that the committee at the time acknowledged. So I do hope in the future that we can get a better response, given how serious we all acknowledge and accept the question of taxi and licensed minicabs is. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I've got one person indicating they want to speak. Councillor Goldspink, all ears.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, the Liberal Democrat group is very happy to support this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to make a comment? Very well, we'll move to recommendation 12 on page 84, recommendation A, which we will need to vote on. Can all those wishing to support this recommendation do so now?
Yes, sir. 42 in favour, Chair.
Very well. And then in view of your wish to have those against, can you do so now, please?
No votes against, Chair.
And abstains. Anybody abstaining from this? No. Very well, thank you. That's carried. Now we're looking for agenda item 13, and this falls to the head of Legal and Democratic Services to present the report. Mr. James Ellis, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Council at its annual meeting is required to approve the decision-making arrangements for the discharge of functions. In May 2019, the Council appointed Councillor Linda Hazy as the leader for the life of the Council, that is to say until the next scheduled District Council elections in 2023. It is the responsibility of the leader to determine the size and membership of the executive, as well as the allocation of executive portfolio responsibilities. These will remain unchanged at 7 members, as well as the leader, with the portfolios as set out in Appendix B. The Local Government and Housing Act 1989 places a duty on the Council to review the allocation of seats on its various committees. The aim being to ensure that the political composition of those committees reflects the political representation of the Council. The percentage political balance representation of each political group on East House Council remains unchanged from 2020-2021. However, this could change after the by-election for the Bishop Stortford All Saints ward, which will take place on the 6th of May 2021. Council will be notified of any amendments to its political balance after this time. It is proposed that the committees as set out at 2.1 be established with the same terms of reference as last year. The proposed membership of those committees are as set out on pages 5 to 7 of the supplementary agenda number 1. The Council's calendar of meetings for 2021-22 is as proposed at paragraph 5.1 of the report, and I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, if I can direct you to the recommendations as contained at page 102 of the report. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with, is Norma Simons, are you prepared to propose this report, please?
Yes, I'm happy to propose it.
And I understand Rosemary Bolton will second it.
Yes, I'd like to second it, please, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, I'm opening the floor to questions and comments, please.
Councillor Goldspink, is there?
Yes, Councillor Goldspink. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'd just like to comment that the Liberal Democrat group is happy to support all these recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further comments, we are looking at the five recommendations? Yes, 5 recommendations on page 101 of the report. And if, as we've got a clear acceptance of these, so we move them in one go, in one block. So can we vote as most people have already done?
Yeah, that looks to be 40 in favour, Chair, or 41.
Thank you. 41. So you want me to go through the process of against?
Yes, please, Chair.
And any abstentions? There are none, so that's clearly carried. Thank you very much. We're looking at agenda item 14 on the supplementary agenda. And for those that have it, do stop me if you need a bit more time to find it. It's on page 9 to 42. And this is again Mr. Ellis, Head of Legal and Democratic Services, to present this report.
Thank you, Chairman. At the annual council meeting each year, the council appoints members to serve on various outside bodies. The report contained at pages 9 to 42 of the supplementary agenda number 1 details these members' involvements and activities on these bodies. It is recommended the council receives these reports as detailed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Newton, are you proposing this report?
Indeed, I am, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Councillor Alder, are you seconding this proposal?
I'm happy to do so.
Thank you. Comments, please, and questions.
There doesn't seem to be any hands up, Chairman.
No, what's happened to Councillor Goldspink? Nothing, right? Okay. Well, we move to a vote, please, on this. It's recommendation A on page 113 on the main agenda pack. Everybody happy to find that?
Yes, that's 42-4, Chair.
Thank you. All those against? Can I see a hand? No. Or any abstentions? Right, clearly that's carried. Thank you. Now then, we're moving to item 15, minor and consequential amendments to the Constitution, page 117 on the main agenda pack. And there are 2 recommendations there. Mr. Ellis again, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Under the Council's Constitution, the monitoring officer, in consultation with the Chief Executive, has delegated authority to make minor amendments to the Constitution arising from changes in legislation, staffing structures, job descriptions, or terminology. The Constitution further requires that such changes be reported annually to Council, and this report fulfills that requirement. A full list of the changes made can be found at Appendix 1. In addition to those changes, the Council is recommended to agree a delegation to the Head of Planning and Building Control to determine footpath and bridleway matters as set out in Recommendation B, and to formally replace the current Officer Code of Conduct at Part 5B of the Constitution with the new Code of Conduct for Employees contained at Appendix 2, which was agreed by the HR Committee on the 16th of February 2021. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And is Councillor Williamson, are you proposing this?
Indeed, I am. Thank you, Chairman. I'm happy to propose both recommendations A and B on page 117. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Curtis, are you seconding this?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'm happy to second both recommendations.
Thank you. So any questions or observations, please?
Councillor Goldspink has a hand up.
Oh.
Thank you. And Councillor Holliman. So Councillor Goldspink.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'm sorry to have disappointed you on the last agenda item, but yes,
I thought the IT had failed.
No, it was my failure. But this time, yes, I'm happy to report the Liberal Democrat group is very happy to support these recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Goldspink, I'm sorry, I do beg your pardon. Oh, the hand. All right, there's a hand come. There was another hand earlier, but it's gone now. So, right, we can move now to a vote on this, please. We've got two recommendations, A and B, on page 117. Shall we take them together?
That's 41 votes for, Chair.
Yes, thank you. So any opposed to these recommendations? And
No.
any abstentions? No, well, that again is carried. Thank you. Now we're moving on to Mr. Ellis again for item 16 of the Code of Conduct. On pages 169 to 196.
Thank you, Chairman. This report details the recommendations to Council made by the Audit and Governance Committee at its meeting of the 16th of March 2021, that the Council replace the current Members' Code of Conduct as contained in Part 5A of the Constitution with the new Model Code of Conduct prepared by the Local Government Association. The Committee on Standards in Public Life recently published a report into local government ethical standards. This is 26 recommendations and 15 best practice recommendations. Two of the recommendations of specific relevance to this report were the Local Government Association should create and update a model code of conduct in consultation with representative bodies for councillors and officers of all tiers of local government. And best practice recommendation 3, principal authorities should review their code of conduct each year and regularly seek, where possible, the views of the public, community organisations and neighbouring authorities. The LGA Model Code of Conduct is a result of these recommendations and is contained at Appendix 1. Adopting the Model Code of Conduct will ensure the good governance within the Council that is reflective of a national governance model. The recommendations are as found on page 169 of the report.
Thank you very much. We're looking for a proposer. Is Councillor Huggins going to take that?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Let me also take my opportunity to congratulate you on your election for Chairman. As a keen advocate of the ethical and moral standards of all members, I am delighted to propose recommendations A and B as written in the papers.
Thank you very much. And will we have a seconder in Councillor Snowden, perhaps?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I formally second.
Thank you very much. Now we're opening the floor to comments and questions, please.
Councillor Goldspink has a hand up.
Thank you.
Yes.
Councillor Goldspink.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'm pleased to report that the Liberal Democrat group is very happy to support both these recommendations. Thank you.
Jolly good, thank you. As there are no other hands, we'll move to the vote, please. Those who are in favour of this report, please. You're going to say 41 now, aren't you?
I think there's actually 43 this time, Chair, in favour.
Oh, right. And those against? None? Oh, hang on, saw one hand there. And any abstentions? Well, that's clearly carried as well, so thank you very much. Now, this is the agenda item 17 on page 197 to 232. This is the annual scrutiny report. So the first one is the Chairman of Overview and Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Wiley, to present the report.
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations. It gives me pleasure to propose this report. The report introduces the annual scrutiny report for 2019-20 and 2021 on behalf of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. It provides an overview of what our committee scrutinised during the period. These reports would normally be a report on an annual basis, but due to COVID, the 19-20 report was delayed. We also had a review taken up by the Centre for Governance and Scrutiny, and their report was presented to the Executive on the 30th of March. There is one recommendation which I'm happy to propose to Council. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. So you're proposing this recommendation, are you?
I'm happy to move it, Chairman, yes.
Yes, and who is Councillor Pope going to second this?
I'm very happy to second that, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to move to questions. Any comments or questions that members want to raise?
Councillor Goldsmith.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh,
Councillor Goldsmith, please.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, once again, Liberal Democrat Group is very happy to support this recommendation. It's a very full report, and we're pleased to see it. Thank you very much.
Well, that's good. As there are no other indications of anybody wishing to speak, we'll move to a vote for this, please. So those in favour? This is the exciting bit. It's going to be 41 or 43.
I've got 41, Chairman.
41. Right, thank you. All those against? And any abstentions? Thank you. Well, that's clearly carried as well. So now we have one motion on notice on page 233. And I invite Councillor Goldsmith to present her motion on notice, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Before I read out the wording of the motion, I would like to warn you that I and my group will be asking for a recorded vote at the end of the debate. And once I have read out the words of the motion, and once my seconder has been recognised, I would like to speak on the motion, please. The motion is as follows. This council resolves to reconsider its plans to demolish the URC Hall in the old Riverlane site in Bishop Stortford. Instead, it will either repair and refurbish the hall, or if it is not practicable to refurbish it, the council will build a new equivalent hall somewhere else on the old Riverlane site. This would be in accordance with policy CFLR8 of the local plan. I'd like it to be acknowledged that I do have a seconder to this motion, who is
Councillor Wilson. We've got on record here.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, thank you. I'd now like to speak on the motion. This URC hall is a well-used community hall sited in the town centre of Bishop Stortford, and it does have excellent parking. It is used regularly by many different community groups, including badminton, table tennis, yoga, keep fit, tai chi, mothers and toddlers, comedy club, Pilates, Alcoholics Anonymous, Stortford music, karate, and stamp fairs. It is also available for private hire for parties, meetings, town twinning events, etc. It seats 200 people and has a stage. It is a very useful community hall. So why would anyone wish to demolish it? This council's very own policies are against demolition. In the local plan, in section 19, community facilities, policy CFLR8 states, proposals that would result in the loss of buildings for community use will be refused unless A, an assessment has been undertaken which has clearly shown that the facility is no longer needed in its current form. B, the loss resulting from the proposed development, demolition, would be replaced by enhanced provision in terms of quantity and or quality in a suitable location. C, the development is for an alternative community facility, the need for which clearly outweighs the loss. And looking at these three conditions, I do not believe that A, the assessment has been undertaken. C, the alternative community facility proposed is a car park. Oh, how bizarre. We were told previously that the whole vision of the Old River Lane development was to remove car parking from this site and to replace the car parking with community facilities. We're now being told that the council will demolish a community facility and replace it with car parking. Really bizarre. So that leaves us with the final condition, which was B, which is to build a replacement for the facility which has been lost. And this is called for in our motion. So I commend the whole motion to the council and ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wilson, are you seconding this motion?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I am. For now, I reserve my right to speak on it.
Very well, thank you. So I open this up for comment or questions.
Councillor Williamson has his hand up.
Thank you. Councillor Williamson.
Thank you indeed, Chairman. I'd perhaps like to respond to the motion as presented. We should remind ourselves of some key points in relation to this motion. Firstly, that at the extraordinary council meeting held on Thursday, the 18th of March, the council voted to proceed with the Old Riverlane regeneration according to our stated and published plans. Secondly, that the URC hall on the Old Riverlane site was sold to the council by the United Reformed Church as part of their own plans to improve its community offering. The URC made this statement on the 29th of June 2019. The proceeds of the sale will enable the church to make adaptations to the church building site that will enable it to be used both by the church and community groups. We will have more multi-use spaces and upgraded facilities. We hope that many of the existing users of the church hall will move into the new facility when it is ready for use. They further stated, the present hall needs considerable repairs and upgrading to make it suitable for future use. I therefore propose an amendment to the motion as follows. The council notes that 1, the Old Riverlane regeneration offers the opportunity to create strong community and arts facilities for Bishop Stortford. The current Old Riverlane regeneration plans agreed by full council on Thursday the 18th of March 2021 are sufficiently flexible to offer the opportunity to work with third parties to deliver additional community facilities. And 2, given the current condition of the URC hall, it is not practical to repair and refurbish. The council's plans for the Old Riverlane regeneration are compliant with CFLR 8 of the East Herts District Plan of 2018, satisfying both conditions B and C. Therefore, this council resolves to 1, work with local groups during the planning process and the pre-development marketing of the available space to provide additional community facilities as part of the ongoing regeneration of Old Riverlane. These facilities could include a community hall, community spaces, and/or space for the delivery of community services. The council will include the United Reformed Church in this engagement to explore with them their plans for using the capital money the council provided to them through our purchase of the hall. 2, continue work on the cultural strategy, which was agreed unanimously by full council on the 2nd of March. Future work streams to be undertaken include taking an inventory of publicly and privately owned facilities within Bishop Stortford, which can be used by community and arts groups. Furthermore, to discuss with Hertfordshire County Council to ensure local groups can access facilities at state schools outside of school hours. 3, continue investigations into whether the cinema spaces within Old Riverlane can be designed to allow larger capacity live performance events to be held on site. And lastly, support the Old Riverlane regeneration plans. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Just trying to look at find the paperwork for that. I don't seem to be able to find it. So who's seconding your amendment, please?
I am Chairman, Councillor Buckmaster, Eric Buckmaster here. I'd like to second the amendment to the motion, and I'll reserve my right to speak. And again, congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Right, let's open it up to the floor for debate, please.
Councillor Bell has a hand up, Chairman.
Sorry, did you say that again, the name? Councillor Bell, did you say?
That's right, Chair. Yeah.
Yes, please. Councillor Bell, please.
The URC is currently a very popular community facility, and no equivalent provision to URC has currently been provided as part of the old Riverlane development. The plans for an 80-seat cinema, which can occasionally be used for performing arts, is nowhere near an adequate replacement for a venue with a 200-seat capacity. This council should be championing participation in performing arts by local people, not stifling it. And I would implore the council to ensure that adequate alternative provisions in the centre of Bishop Stortford are made if preservation of the URC is not feasible. This should be done in consultation with local groups to ensure that we are providing facilities for local residents as opposed to progressing blindly without their consent. Thank you.
Councillor Goldspink, are you going to speak now?
Yes, please, Chairman, and I hope I can speak twice because there's now a new proposal on the table as well as the original one. I was very interested in what Councillor Williamson has said in his amendment, and I welcome the general thrust that maybe there will be better consultation. But I'm still worried that what he's proposing is not an adequate replacement for what is being lost. Now, I do know from the URC people that there are some of their hirers, their users, who they will not be able to accommodate in their new facilities. And these are the people who do the badminton, the table tennis, the karate, the yoga, and the comedy club. They cannot accommodate. Stortford Music, karate, and the stamps fair. They will not be able to accommodate them in their new premises. The other thing which Councillor Williamson said, and I hope he can clarify this, is he was saying that it might be possible to provide alternative accommodation within the new arts centre. But at our last meeting, when I asked specifically, would it be possible to have a 200-seat theatre within the new arts centre space, he informed me, no, it would not be possible to have that. And this is what is lacking, the hall, a community hall about the size, well, big enough to accommodate 200 seats, 200 people in an audience. So I would ask Councillor Williamson, through you, Chairman, are you now proposing that there would be a community hall space, a hall for hire space, which would accommodate 200 people and would be available for the community to hire? Would there be such a hall, such a space in the new proposed art centre?
I don't believe Councillor Williamson can respond to questions. His seconder might.
Oh, well, that is disappointing then. If we're being asked to vote on something which is not really very clear, I would ask him please to clarify before we vote.
Well, his seconder might be able to do that, but I'm led to believe that he can't speak again on his amendment. Shall we move to Councillor Wilson, please? Do you want to speak now?
Chairman, if it's to clarify something, I think it would be beneficial for that to be made clear so that everybody knows what they're voting on.
All right, very well, thank you. Thanks for that. So are we going to ask Councillor Williamson to respond to that now, or shall we wait to hear? Let's do that. Can you respond to Councillor Goldspink, please?
All I can say is that we are looking to all the options to provide the best community facilities across the town, engaging with a variety of different groups.
Thank you very much. Councillor Snowden is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm afraid Councillor Goldspink's words ring a little hollow here. She was offered a seat on the Old Riverlane Delivery Board and she turned it down. She is the ward member for Bishopsthorpe and Meads alongside me, and she turned down a seat on the delivery board. Councillor Goldspink, you could have been in the room when decisions were being made here, and you turned down that opportunity. I'm frankly disappointed that you turned that down, and frankly, I'm disappointed that you are you're basically trying to score cheap political points on a great regeneration scheme for our town.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Point of order, Chairman, on
Well,
a personal explanation. I believe I can interrupt on a point of personal explanation. Councillor Snowden has accused me of turning down an opportunity. I would like to explain, please. Yes.
Well, you can wrap that up with your summing up for your motion.
Mr. Chairman, she is in fact allowed a point of personal explanation. I'd actually be quite interested in hearing it.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. My explanation is, yes, I was offered, but I decided that I would offer my place to Councillor Terence Beckett, because he is a town council ward member for the ward. And if we were only allowed one Liberal Democrat or ward member place, I felt that he was better qualified than I was. So I did say that I would give up my place to Councillor Beckett, but I did ask if it was possible for me to receive the minutes. So I did not totally rule it out, and I was hoping that Councillor Beckett would be able to speak for me and for the Liberal Democrat group.
Thank you.
That is my explanation.
So would you like to sum up for your motion? Or shall we go to Councillor Wilson?
Councillor Wilson's got his hand up.
Pardon?
Councillor Wilson's got his hand up to speak.
Yes, indeed. Councillor Wilson, please.
Thank you, Chair. I like Councillor Goldspink would welcome Councillor Williamson's suggestions in many aspects. I suppose I would ask really why the timing is now, and why it takes us to have a motion such as this for him to come up with these compromises, because this was not what we heard from the previous meeting regarding Old River Lane. We were categorically told that there would be no community space in the Arts Centre. And I also know that the users of the community facilities were not consulted regarding the demolition of the URC hall. And if I may slightly go into the history of the Old River Lane project, originally the plan, which was consulted on, in my view inadequately, promised a 50-seat theatre amongst other arts offerings, providing an experience that would draw people into the town centre. The Old River Lane site would offer an exciting vista, a pleasant pedestrianised area, including a public square. This would be facilitated by a nearby multi-storey car park replacing existing parking that was to be removed, and a complex junction that many felt was rather dubiously designed. I do not believe that part of this consultation involved talking about the demolition of a community asset without being replaced. Money was poured into what is an unattractive and poorly located multi-storey car park, committing the council to spending all the money granted to it by the LEP before the rest of the project was finalised in detail, and contradicting the claim that we would encourage sustainable travel. So what's happened now? The plan that was consulted on and according to the Conservative administration, approved of by the public, has changed. Without further meaningful consultation, it has changed from a theatre and additional facilities to 3 to 5 cinema screens with auditoria not suitable for professional and many amateur theatre companies. More flats have been proposed, pedestrianisation will be minimised, and the complex junction is likely not to be viable, as has been predicted. To facilitate this shadow of the original plans, the residents of the area around Northgate End have to suffer pollution, congestion, and the shadow of a car promoting multi-storey car park. I believe in a previous meeting, Councillor Jones said very sagely, if you build more car parking spaces, you will encourage more private car journeys. I quite agree. To add to this, when the Conservative regime realised that the theatre and original plan was no longer viable with respect to the function and size of performance spaces in the new Arts Centre, did they consult with local arts groups to see what was needed, and what would work? Well, if they did, it seems certain they did not listen to the answers they received. as neither the public nor the arts groups in and around the town have expressed approval of these plans, or in the case of the groups, that they will be able to use what is on offer. Now, turning to the URC hall, Councillor Goldspink has explained that there still seems to be a loss of community facilities, and we have to look at planning policy CFLR8, as she has said, to look at that. I do welcome, as I say, Councillor Williamson's ideas that and proposals that we can maybe look at changing some of the plans and being flexible and consulting. I'm very glad that the Conservative group is starting to come around to that point of view. I would hasten to add that, in my view, this has been a very inadequate consultation period since the changes were proposed and made after the original theatre had to be abandoned, and I do also understand why that had to be abandoned. But as I say, I do welcome the fact that we're now looking at consulting, and hopefully a lesson has been learned here that you need to listen to local arts groups, talk to them and see what they want, and I hope we can now move forward with that.
Thank you very much. Right, there are no further speakers, so we return to
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So I think the process, because we're voting on the amendment now.
We are, yes.
And I reserved my right to speak. So if there are no more speakers on the amendment, then I think I would speak now.
Councillor Goldspink is going to speak on her original amendment, her original motion now. Do you want to speak after that?
Chairman, we wouldn't go back to the original motion until the amendments has been dealt with one way or the other.
Right, okay. Well, Councillor Goldspink has had her chance to speak, so we'll now go to Councillor Buckmaster.
Thank you, Chairman. When I saw the motion, my instinct was to question the integrity of it. And we've already heard that the URC were willing to dispose of the hall owing to the age and condition and difficulty to maintain. And this is clear by looking at the church website and their stated ambition to create a new modern purpose-built community space to replace it. And many of those groups would be able to go there, and that's their ambition. We are a very inclusive council in our approach. Briefings and workshops are available to all political groups. And as we've heard, a member of the opposition has worked with us and was offered a place on the Old Riverlane board. Our processes consider detail and the wider picture, and crucially the finances. And members know that for all of our projects, we reviewed the business cases in the light of the impact of the pandemic and other factors. And on the contrary, this Lib Dem motion comes to us as a standalone item with little or no attempt at prior engagement with the administration or the wider objectives we've been collectively pursuing. There is little context in the original motion, no concept or notion of funding, and this comes from a group that abstained in the vote on the council budget a couple of months ago. We are left then either with voting it down or amending it to give it meaning and substance. And I believe that the amendment as proposed by Councillor Williamson does do that and gives us a way forward. We are about to embark on the delivery mechanisms of the cultural strategy. There'll be a lot of engagement, and a big part of that is to look into all of the performing arts organisations and performing arts venues across the district, and we'll get a feel of the capacities, the locations and the opportunities. So in this context, I feel the motion as amended there gives us much more to work with, and I would urge the whole of the council to support it as proposed by the executive member. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Now, I don't have before me the wording for the amended motion. Would it be in order for an officer to read it out, or should Councillor Williamson read it out so we're all clear exactly on what we're voting for?
Yes. Read it out again if you'd prefer, Chairman.
Well, if Mr. Ellis is happy for you to read it out, then we'll proceed like that, please.
Yeah, I don't believe yourself or I have a copy of the exact wording, so it might make sense for Councillor Williamson to read it out.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. The amended motion would be: the council notes that 1, the Old River Lane regeneration offers the opportunity to create strong community and arts facilities for Bishop Stortford. The current Old River Lane regeneration plans agreed by full council on Thursday the 18th of March are sufficiently flexible to offer the opportunity to work with third parties to deliver additional community facilities. And 2, given the current condition of the URC hall, it is not practical to repair and refurbish. The council's plans for the Old River Lane generation are compliant with CFLR 8 of the East Herts District Plan 2018, satisfying both conditions B and C. Therefore, this council resolves to 1, work with local groups during the planning process and the pre-development marketing of the available space to provide additional community facilities as part of the ongoing regeneration of Old River Lane. These facilities could include a community hall, community spaces, and/or space for the delivery of community services. The council will include the URC in this engagement to explore with them their plans for using the capital money the council provided to them through our purchase of the hall. 2, continue work on the cultural strategy, which was agreed unanimously at full council on the 2nd of March. Future work streams to be undertaken include taking an inventory of publicly and privately owned facilities within Bishop Stortford, which can be used by the community and arts groups. Furthermore, to discuss with Hertfordshire County Council to ensure local groups can access facilities at state schools outside of school hours. 3, continue investigations into whether the cinema spaces within Old River Lane can be designed to allow larger capacity live performance events to be held on site. And 4, support the Old River Lane regeneration plans.
Thank you very much. So now we move to a vote on the...
Sorry, Chairman, could I ask that a recorded vote be had on the amendment?
Yeah.
Yes, we will do that. So are we going to do this verbally?
Sorry, Chairman, we need 5 members.
Yes, you will need 5 members to support that.
Thank you. Can we have, well, I suppose Jeff and Jeff Williamson and Eric Buckmaster.
Support that, Chairman.
I'll certainly support. That's Bob Deering.
There's 9
Bob Deering, Alex, Councillor Curtis, Councillor Buckmaster, Councillor. There's quite a few hands up, so take your pick.
Yes, Chairman, there's in excess of 5.
I think Councillor Goldspink is supporting it as well. She's got her hand up.
Yeah, that's fine. We've got 5 members, so we can.
That can't be right, can it? Okay. Thank you. Right. So we can now move to a vote on the amendment, please. All those in favour of the amendment as per the one read out by Councillor Williamson.
Sorry, this is a recorded vote, so I'll need to read through the names.
Yes.
They'll need to respond, not hands up.
Okay. Shall we take those hands down until later?
Yeah. So if I'll just read through names now. If you just respond for, against, or abstain. Councillor Alder.
For.
Councillor Andrews. Councillor Beckett.
Abstain.
Councillor Bell.
Against.
Councillor Bolton.
For.
Councillor Boylan.
For.
Councillor Brady. Councillor Brady.
Against.
Sorry. Councillor Eric Buckmaster.
For.
Councillor Ruth Buckmaster.
For.
Councillor Bemitz.
For.
Councillor Crofton.
Abstain.
Councillor Crystal.
Abstain.
Councillor Curtis.
For.
Councillor Cutting.
For.
Councillor Deering.
4.
Councillor Devonshire,
4.
Councillor Drake,
4.
Councillor Dumont,
Against.
Councillor Fernando,
4.
Councillor Frecknell,
Abstain.
Councillor Goldspink,
Against.
Councillor Goodeve,
4.
Councillor Hall,
4.
Councillor Hazy,
4.
Councillor Hollybon, Councillor Hollybon,
Come back to her in a moment, shall we?
So I'm here, sorry, 4.
thank you. Councillor Huggins,
4.
Councillor Jones,
4.
Councillor Kay,
4.
Councillor Kemp,
4.
Councillor McAndrew,
4.
Councillor McMullen,
4.
Councillor Newton,
4.
Councillor Page,
4.
Councillor Pope,
4.
Councillor Ranger,
4.
Councillor Redfern,
Against.
Councillor Reid,
4.
Councillor Rowley,
4.
Councillor Ruffles,
4.
Councillor Snowden,
4.
Councillor Stevenson,
4.
Councillor Stowe,
4.
Councillor Simons,
4.
Councillor Ward Booth,
4.
Councillor Williamson,
4.
Councillor Wilson,
Against.
Councillor Wiley.
4.
Okay, that amendment is carried with 37 for, 6 against and 4 abstentions.
Thank you very much. That amendment now becomes the substantive motion, which we need to vote on again. And presumably we don't need a recorded vote for that, do we? Or do we? Anybody?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yes, I would like a recorded vote on that, just to make sure everybody knows how people voted on this very important issue.
Thank you. We're looking for 4 more councillors.
I'd like to volunteer as well for that.
Councillor Curtis. 3 more councillors, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
I will. Councillor Simons.
There's virtual hands up, Chairman.
Councillor Wiley and
I will, Bob Deering again.
thank you. Right, does that give us the 5 councillors?
Does, yes.
All right, they're very well. We'll go through this for the substantive motion now, please.
Could you, Chairman?
Yes.
Could you just clarify what it is we're voting for this time? I know it's a substantive motion, but
Yes, indeed. This is the motion that we've just agreed and passed. It's the Conservative motion as per Councillor Williamson's amendment. Are you clear with that?
so it forms part. It's now the.
That is now the motion we're voting on.
Right. Thank you.
That's one we're going for.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So let's do the recorded vote then, please.
Okay. Councillor Alder,
4.
Councillor Andrews, Councillor Andrews,
I think we'll come back to him. He's there somewhere.
Councillor Beckett,
4.
Councillor Bell,
4.
Councillor Bolton,
4.
Councillor Boylan,
4.
Councillor Brady,
4.
Councillor Eric Buckmaster,
4.
Councillor Ruth Buckmaster,
4.
Councillor Bemitz,
4.
Councillor Crofton,
Abstain.
Councillor Crystal,
4.
Councillor Curtis,
4.
Councillor Cutting,
4.
Councillor Deering,
4.
Councillor Devonshire,
4.
Councillor Drake,
4.
Councillor Dumont,
Oh, I was on mute. 4.
Councillor Fernando,
4.
Councillor Frecknell,
4.
Councillor Goldspink,
4.
Councillor Goodeve,
4.
Councillor Hall,
4.
Councillor Hasey, Councillor Hasey,
4.
Councillor Hollybon,
4.
Councillor Huggins,
4.
Councillor Jones, Councillor Jones,
Sorry about that. 4.
Councillor Kay,
4.
Councillor Kemp,
4.
Councillor McAndrew,
4.
Councillor McMullen,
4.
Councillor Newton,
4.
Councillor Page,
4.
Councillor Pope,
4.
Councillor Ranger,
4.
Councillor Redfern,
4.
Councillor Reid,
4.
Councillor Rowley, Councillor Rowley, Councillor Ruffles,
4.
Councillor Snowden,
4.
Councillor Stevenson,
4.
Councillor Stowe,
4.
Councillor Simons,
4.
Councillor Ward Booth,
4.
Councillor Williamson,
4.
Councillor Wilson,
4.
Councillor Wiley.
4.
Thank you. That motion is carried with 44 for and 1 abstention.
Thank you. Well, the original motion falls. Should we try David Andrews again, just in case he wants to be included in the vote? And Rowley?
I'm for, Chairman. Thank you. I'm for.
Thank you. And Councillor Rowley, are you back with us yet? Oh, no, it doesn't look like
I
he
think
is.
he's having audio problems, Chairman.
Hi,
Yeah.
sorry, Councillor Rowley. If you're talking to me, sorry, I just had to my connection just completely collapsed there for a second. But I was for the motion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's the 2 absentees we were looking for. Thank you very much indeed. So the original motion falls and this is carried. So right. Well, that actually concludes tonight's business. So I declare the meeting closed, but I would remind everybody, if we could stay with this for a little while longer now. We've got the joint committee of the executive committees and subcommittees and panels. So if we can stay with it a little bit longer, that'd be terrific. And we'll wrap this up shortly. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you, Councillor Crofton. I suppose chairman's drinks aren't on you this time, are they?
Oh, I'd love to have bought them from everybody, but I just can't.
Don't worry, as soon as we can, we'll hold you to it.
Happily. Right, so over to you, Leader. I think this is your show now.
Thank you. Let me just pull up the papers, please. Are we happy just carrying on, or do we need just a 5 minutes break?
A 5-minute comfort break, please.
That's a good idea. So my computer says it's exactly 9 o'clock. So shall we resume in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. 5 minutes time.
minutes. 5 minutes.
It's 9:05. Are all colleagues back now?
Thank you. You're leading on this, aren't you, Linda?
No, Chairman, I have to propose a chair to chair the meeting, and in a minute, when we become formal, I shall propose you.
That's good. I haven't got any paperwork.
As Jonathan did it last time. So
yeah, well, I'm going to bounce back to you to lead our chair, but I don't have paperwork to on this on the joint panel.
Okay.
Great.
In that case, Ian, have you got it? In that case, I'll propose you. Have you got the?
Yeah, I've got it on my screen. Yeah.
Comes up. Okay. All right, Ken. That's fine. I'll propose Ian to chair.
Yeah. Good warm up.
Is that comfortable?
Okay. Is everybody back?
Okay.
So can I find the agenda?
Yeah. I think James, you start off proceedings, and then I make a recommendation to chair.
Sorry, do you want to?
So we've now moved into the joint meeting of executive committees, subcommittee panels. Well,
Sorry, Linda, we've lost you there.
all right, and I propose that Ian Devonshire chairs this meeting.
Excellent.
Do we have a
Second.
seconder? Do we have a seconder?
I'm happy to second in Devonshire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Councillor Devonshire.
Thank you. The next agenda item is the minutes of the previous meeting, which was held 2 years ago, on the 15th of May 2019. Can I have somebody to, they're on pages 5 to 10 of the agenda pack. Can we, are there any questions on those minutes?
I'm happy to propose, Chair.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for those minutes?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you. All right, can we go to a vote on that then? All those who are in agreement with those minutes from the, when was it? It was a long time ago, 2019, 15th 15th of May 2019. All those in favour, can you please show?
Yes, we've got 38 or no 40 in favour, Chair.
Thank you. I think we have to go to people against as well, don't we? Is there anybody against those minutes?
No hands, Chair.
Anything? And no, are there any abstentions? No.
None.
Okay. So they approved the minutes from the 2019 meeting. Right. Next, I'm trying to find the next agenda item. Okay. The next agenda item is declarations of interest. Does anybody have a declaration of interest? No. Can't see any there.
No hands, Chair.
No, no declarations of interest. So we now move on to item 4, which is the appointment of chairman and establishment of subcommittees and panels. Is there anybody that wants to say anything on this motion?
I believe that'll be my report, Councillor Devonshire.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I haven't got any notes on this. Thank you. Can I get to James Ellis then to give this report?
Thank you, Chairman. The report seeks approval of the establishment of subcommittees and panels and the nomination of chairmen to committees as detailed in the report. The proposed establishment of subcommittees and panels are as set out at part 3 of the report, and the proposed chairman of committees are as set out in Appendix B of the report.
Thank you.
I'm happy to propose that.
Thank you. David Andrews is proposing it. Is there a seconder for those appointments? George Cutting, seconding. George, do you want to say something?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm quite simply happy to second that recommendation.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? I can't see any. No questions or comments. Okay, can we go to the vote on that then, please? This is the appointment of chairman and establishment of subcommittees and panels. The recommendation. Is there a recommendation, James, somewhere?
Yes, Chairman, the recommendations are on page 11, over onto page 11 and 12, ranging from recommendation A down to E.
Okay, is everybody happy to take A to E as a block? We'll vote on the whole lot. Yes, okay. If you want to vote for that, can you put your blue hand up now?
Here we have 38, 39 for, Chair.
Thank you. Do you want to take this down? Are there any against? Don't think there's any against. Are there any abstentions? No, so that's carried. Thank you. The last.
Just one abstention there, Chair. Sorry, just one hand up.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I think there's a bit of confusion over who is abstaining or voting against. I think there were a couple of hands that sort of.
Okay. Can we do that again?
I didn't abstain. I did not abstain, if you're counting me.
Did you refuse?
No, actually, I didn't do anything.
Okay, all right. So I don't think we've got anybody against, and we haven't got any abstentions. So that is carried.
Chairman, point of order is not doing anything and not an abstention.
Got to do something.
Not doing anything is not what we're here for. We're here to make decisions, Chairman. So if you're either for or against, or you abstain, and not doing anything by my standards is an abstention.
So we got
Excuse me, I didn't mean that. I voted for it.
Thank you, Caroline.
That's very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so I think that's unanimous. So that is carried. The final agenda item is urgent business. Is there any urgent business that we can bring up? No. In that case, this meeting closes at 9:12. Thank you very much, everybody.
Well done, Chairman.
Well done, Chairman.
Well done, all.
Well done.
Good night.
Well done, all.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan, and well done, Ken.
Thank you, Bob.
The king is dead. Long live the king. Thanks, John.